Alrighty, we take you now to Islamabad, Pakistan. A second round, we think, of talks between the U.S. and Iran. It may happen. Originally, it was supposed to take place there, but they've been on hold. President Trump then extended the ceasefire with Iran at Pakistan's request while the negotiators try to figure out how to come together to hammer out a deal.
Let's see if that deal will come together. And then there's the Strait of Hormuz. That's the big tipping point right now. Still remains a bone of contention between the two sides. The president taking to Truth Social, writing this last night. Iran doesn't want the Strait of Hormuz closed. They want it open so that they can make $500 million a day. They only say they want it closed because they have it totally blockaded. So they merely want to save face here. That there from President Trump on Truth Social.
Well, let's go to our White House correspondent and resident know-it-all about this stuff, Mike Carter, live on the North Lawn with the very latest. Okay, Mike, enlighten us.
Hey, Edie and John, good morning again. Well, despite President Trump extending that U.S. ceasefire with Iran indefinitely on Tuesday, both sides, the U.S. and Iran, are accusing the other of really violating that original two-week ceasefire agreement. The latest action, of course, by Iran overnight, happening early this morning when Iran reportedly fired on 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz. 2 of the vessels have reportedly been seized by the IRGC and transported to Iranian waters, with reports that a 3rd vessel was fired on and left disabled off the Iranian coast. Iran says the shipping lane remains closed to all traffic, calling on the U.S. blockade to end, saying its ports, saying it breaches that ceasefire agreement. The reported attacks, of course, following President Trump's statement on Tuesday that he was prepared to extend the ceasefire with Iran. Trump says, upon the request of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I've therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded. Well, before this week's proposed peace talks in Islamabad, the U.S. sent a number of broad-based bullet points to Iran, hoping to hear back on a definitive answer on if Iran would sign off on these bullet points before any talks could be held. Well, yesterday, as Vice President Vance prepared to board Air Force Two, reportedly several days had gone by without the U.S. getting a response from Iran that indeed these points were ones that Tehran would accept. A lack of response following a speech from President Trump last Friday in Arizona, in which Trump seemed confident that a deal was nearing completion.
Getting along well, but who knows? Who knows with anyone, but who knows with Iran in particular? This process should go very quickly, and that most of the points are already negotiated and agreed to. But the naval blockade will remain in full force and effect as it pertains to Iran until such time as our transaction with Iran is 100% complete and fully signed.
Now, during that speech last Friday in Phoenix, Iran's parliament speaker tweeting in real time saying the continuation of the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, with the continuation of the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, the strait will not remain open. And also yesterday, Iran's foreign minister calling the U.S. blockade an act of war. So, John and Edie, we seem to be at an impasse here. Iran says it can't cut a deal until the U.S. lifts the blockade on Iranian ports. President Trump says that won't happen until a deal is in place.
That sounds like 2 groups on opposite sides.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Mike.